Okay, types of angles. You did learn this in 8th grade. Didn't have it last year, so more than likely you've forgotten. But we do know vertical angles.
Yes, sir.
Everyone hopefully knows that because it's in almost every problem in geometry. Now, if you've got two lines, most of the applications that we're going to do, those lines will be parallel. So I'll just do parallel right away. In order to show that lines are parallel, they put a filled in triangle on there.
What if they put an empty triangle?
That would be the same.
Oh, yeah.
So don't get that confused with a mark. Marks mean that they're the same length. Triangles mean they're parallel. So if you saw this on this parallelogram, that would mean these two are parallel, but it doesn't mean they're congruent, the same length. So, like I said, most of the time, in fact, 95% of the time, you'll have two parallel lines and a line cutting through them. The line that cuts through is called the transversal. Okay? You do need to know that. So how many angles are formed when this happens? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now any two angles you pick, when these lines are parallel, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to be equal to each other or they're going to be supplementary. Remember what supplementary means? Add up to 180. So, if I pick 2 and 4, obviously you can see they're vertical, so those are congruent. If I picked 2 and 6, do you think that they're equal or do they add up to 180? They're equal. You can tell of these 4 angles, this is acute, this is obtuse, acute, obtuse. Acute, acute, obtuse, obtuse. Okay? So 1 and 3 are the same, and then what other 2 down below are going to be the same? 5 and 7. 2 and 4 are the same? 6 and 8. Okay? So, I'm going to put this off to the side. So, there's names of angles, and you do need to know these names. It's just something you're going to have to memorize. Besides vertical. 2 and 4 are vertical, 1 and 3 are vertical, all that. The most common one is corresponding angles. Corresponding, anyone know what that, like if I asked you what angle corresponds to 2? 6. So do you know, that is correct. Do you know why?
Because, I don't know. They just did.
Corresponding just means same position. Two and 6 are the top right of these 4, top right. 1 and 5, top left, top left. 3 and 7, 4 and 8. Now when the lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. They're equal to each other. So the corresponding angles are angle 1 and angle 5. Angle 2, 6, 4 and 8, and 3 and 7. Okay? Now, inside angles, you guys know there's interior and exterior? 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 are interior, 1, 2, 8, and 7 are exterior. So the other type, the second most common that is used, are called alternate interior. And when you're writing these down, corresponding, you can just abbreviate CORR. Alternate interior, you can write alt int. So if you were to guess, if I said angle 4 and what angle are alternate interior? 6. because they alternate sides. 4 is on this side, 6 is on that side. And then the other set is 3 and 5, there and there. Now looking at these, this one's obtuse and acute, this one's obtuse and acute. So 4 and 6, how do you think they compare to each other? They're both acute, so how do they compare to each other? They're the same, they're equal. Alternate interior angles are also congruent. Then there is alternate exterior angles, which you can just call alt x, ext. So it's the same idea as the alternate interior. Angle 1 and 7. They alternate sides, left, right, and they're exterior. And then angle 2 and 8. So if you see 1 is acute or obtuse and 7 is obtuse, how do you think alternate exterior compare to each other? They're congruent. So these 3 types are congruent. The 4th type are called same side interior. Now in this book, they're called 2 different things. This one kind of calls them both, but I think most of the time they call them consecutive interior. They mean the same thing, it's just using a different name. I like same side interior because it describes it better and it's easier to abbreviate. You can just go SSINT, same side interior. Okay? So obviously they're inside interior and they're on the same side. So 3 and 6, 4 and 5. Now, same side interior, if you look at, this one's obtuse and this one's acute. So they're not going to be equal. What are they going to do? Add up to 180.
That's why you're an A student.
Which means they're supplementary. Okay? So these are the 4 types. You do need to know these names, what they are. You got to be able to name angles that are these, or you have to be given angles and you got to say which one they're called. So like I said, any 2 angles, if I pick angle 1 and say it's 130 degrees, angle 3 is vertical, angle 1 is corresponding, 7 is vertical, which shows that it's true. Alternate interior are congruent, alternate exterior are congruent, corresponding are congruent. Now if you know one angle, you know the one next to it. 50, which means this is 50, 50, 50. Vertical angles are congruent, corresponding angles are congruent, alternate exterior are congruent, and alternate interior. And then the last one, same side interior, add up to 180. So any 2 angles you pick will either equal each other or add up to 180. This doesn't really have a name, but you could call those what? If you just looked at what the others were called. Same side, exterior. So they don't put those in with these 4, but you could call them that. Same side exterior are not equal, they add up to 180. So we got a worksheet doing these, we're going to do half of it together.